And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And it's Malmsberg panel time. Yes, I know. Calm down. Sit down. Take a deep breath. You can handle it. Rejoining us now is Peter Marisi, economist, University of Maryland professor, Newsmax contributor. He's been with us all 3 hours. And my bad at the end of the last panel, rejoining us from the first hour's panel, is Kevin Jackson, radio host, author of The Big Black Lie. Gentlemen, welcome back to both of you. What do you make, Peter, of this GM? Another recall today. 1.2 million cars just announced here in the United States for a power steering problem, and that's on top of the the CEO apologizing today before Congress for the death of 12 people caused by a problem that they apparently knew about for now 10 years. What's the future? How's this going to harm GM?
Well, I think GM ought to announce what cars aren't going to be recalled. They're getting up to about 5 million cars. So we know, which 7 GM vehicles are safe to drive. Don't let your kid go in a carpool in a GM vehicle. One of the things that's really clear is that Barack Obama did not fix General Motors. There's a great parallel. When Mr. Bush became president, the second Mr. Bush, the steel industry was in a lot of trouble, and he forced them through a real bankruptcy. And they got new management, and they got streamlined work rules, and the union got religion. Mr. Obama took General Motors through, if you recall, a quick wash bankruptcy. The union kept its religion, kept its work rules, and the management didn't get changed or reformed, and now we see the consequence of that. Cheap, cheesy vehicles that are unsafe to drive. I mean, there are a couple of things I will not do. That is, eat food made in China or drive a General Motors car right now. And if I had small children, I wouldn't let them carpool in one.
I mean, I chuckle. It's not funny because people have died. I don't mean to make light of that, certainly.
No, I understand.
Kevin,
this is very unsafe.
no. Yeah, it is. Kevin, would you buy a GM car? I mean, would you ride in a GM car? Would you have your kid carpool in a GM car right now?
I think the short answer is no. 4.8 million cars. And by the way, the new female CEO can legitimately say she has inherited a mess. But think about the idea that we've spent $10 billion that we didn't get back. I mean, we gave them a lot more than that, but we've financed them, kept them alive, didn't get paid $10 billion. And these guys have to recall 4.8 million cars. And I would ask this question. What capitalist company that is not bankrolled by the federal government or the taxpayers of America do you think would allow something this bad to happen? They claim that it's only 12 people who've been killed. We don't really know. The internal documents are worse than they came from RGR Nabisco on nicotine and its addictive properties. I mean, these guys knew about these problems and have chosen to do nothing. 4.8 million of their production vehicles are now out on the road unfit for people, for consumption, not that they're going to eat them, but to use them. And it's been fluffed off. I haven't heard very much about this. I don't think Obama's going to be spiking the football anytime soon.
Yeah, no. And Peter, now we learned from the House Energy and Commerce Committee that GM rejected a fix for this problem that killed 12 or 13 people back in 2005 because the length of time needed for repair and the costs. I mean, this is huge stuff when you think of it. Look what they did to Toyota. People reported that
Eric
the pedal
Holder's
stuff.
too busy suing the state of Texas on voting rights violations and trying to find AP reporters to bug and listen to and all the rest. Man, there's a criminal negligence suit here. And this is criminal negligence. They neglected to deal with the problem. Subsequently, people died. I haven't gone to law school, but you don't have to go to law school to figure this one out. But where's the Justice Department? They're not there. They're not there at all. Eric Holder's trying to find some.
Well, here's the issue here,
and
guys.
Kevin, I hate to say this in answer to Peter's question. Based on our friend J. Christopher Adams, maybe black people haven't been killed in the GM cars yet.
Well, you know what? That would probably bring it to light. But, look, here's the problem. There is no incentive to fix any of this. GM has had a big daddy government at the ready to save them no matter what. It doesn't matter how many people they kill. It doesn't matter how many lawsuits. They'll settle these lawsuits. If GM needs more money, they'll get more money because none of this matters because they haven't been made to pay for their problems. So what Peter alluded to earlier is if you make these guys have to live like the way regular companies do that don't have the ability to run to the taxpayer and have the government do these bailouts, they'd have to act responsibly. But because government is playing big brother and effectively helping these guys to get over whatever problems that they have, they don't actually have to solve problems. The union isn't going to solve problems. That's like saying the post office is actually going to try to compete with FedEx or UPS. They don't have to.
Right.
Well, the thing here is, though, I want to point out is this CEO is culpable. She didn't merely inherit a mess. She's part of the mess. This is so pervasive throughout the company that the senior management as a whole is highly suspect. What you've got going on here is she's getting a pass because it's Mr. Obama's automobile company and she's a woman. Back when General Motors was going down the tubes, they had a new CEO and they started getting very bad data. And the liberal press pointed out that, well, he might be a new CEO. He was the chief operating officer, and he was in the best position to know they had these financial problems. This woman was in a position to know these things were going on. If she said she has no knowledge when 5 million vehicles were recalled, then perhaps for the last 20 years, she hasn't been working for General Motors, but instead she's been playing Mahjong in the corner, and they decided to make her CEO. I don't know how you wouldn't know this is going on, and I don't know how most of the senior management wouldn't know what's going on. And again, where is Eric Holder? The answer is he's busy suing the state of Texas, trying to bring in one more blue state.
All right, guys. No, very, very well put. Let's move on quickly to the healthcare fiasco. Kevin, is today the deadline? Because wasn't there a wasn't there a story? What's that?
The point of the matter is, as you guys probably are aware, they had yet another snafu that said you got 15 days, but then of course you've got the blue button that you can push that says, "Hey, I promised to do it," or "I want to do it," or whatever. I think this has got to be, if we aren't ready to double down on Obamacare and just really nail this thing down, and I think take it back to the Supreme Court, class action lawsuit against the government. I don't know what it's going to take, but this is the height of, I don't even know how to describe it. And the crony capitalism that's gone into this, when you look at the websites and all the other things, how are we even talking about this still without people being in jail?
Yeah, wasn't it Michelle's? So there was a Michelle connection to a college friend or something. Sure. who ran the company or was a big shot at the company that got the website contract in the first place?
Well, let's face it, guys. Let's face it. We're getting what we paid for. We elected a president of the United States from Chicago. Come on. I mean, there are a couple of places you don't go for presidents. One of them is Louisiana, and the other is Chicago. This is the way they do business. But, really, more fundamentally, this goes back to the first question 2 hours ago, about liberals can't govern. Only God can make a tree, and only the invisible hand can make a market. It is far too complex a world for a bunch of bureaucrats in Washington to create exchanges that will create markets in every county in the United States and do it effectively. This is why the Soviet Union failed. They tried to do the same thing. This is absolute folly. And by the way, this fiasco is about the size of the present-day Russian economy.
20 seconds, Kevin. Max.
Well, I think that the idea that they've reached these magical, mystical numbers is a joke. 6 million people. It was supposed to put 31 million people on. They're now going to be adding Obamacare into TV and movie scripts.
Well, I'm going to go home and I'm going to go on Best Buy or some website and I'm going to fill my card up and then I'm going to not pay and they're going to say, "Hey, we just sold that whole card." That's what they're doing with Obamacare. Guys, appreciate it. Kevin Jackson and Peter Marisi. We're coming back, folks, right here. You're not going to want to miss this. Steve Malzberg Show.
We don't just talk about the news. We talk to those making news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.